Hey, what's up, everybody? Josh here. Welcome to the R-rated show. Today, let's talk about that variant cover from DC, the Robin Eisenberg Wonder Woman 1984 movie adaptation comic that was released a couple weeks ago. I'm a little bit behind the ball on this story. I realize that, but when it first came out, I mean, it caused a really big stink. There was a lot of comic book fans and people, YouTubers, really bagging on it, like, hating on it a lot. And it just seemed like kind of, I had some feelings, I had some mixed feelings about it. I really wanted to let them percolate in my brain for a little bit before I, went rushing to my computer to record something. So, but I have heard a lot of opinions of this. There definitely seems to be a theme in there seems to be a theme in with most people regarding this variant cover and stuff, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so this artist Robin Eisenberg. Let's talk about, let's have a conversation a little bit. Let's just not jump right into hatred over this thing. Like, there needs to be a little bit of context about what's happening here, and you can say a lot of things about DC Comics and what's going on with them right now. But specifically this artist here, I feel like maybe he's getting some unfair treatment. But I'll give you an honest opinion. Something I've thought about a little bit over the last couple of weeks. So let's just take a look real quick. This is the cover, Wonder Woman 1984. She created this image, the inner square here, with everything on the outside that's done by some graphic designer over at DC, and obviously, like, they're trying to invoke like an 80s vibe. But the image and the inner square with Wonder Woman here, this is what she did on her own. And apparently somebody in the editorial staff at DC liked it so much that they asked her if they could use it for a variant cover. Now, that's not the artist's fault. Like, it wasn't like she, went banging on the doors at DC headquarters and demanded that they give her a cover because she's, an LGBTQ, a feminist or whatever. Like, she was just doing her own thing, and somebody was a fan and they asked her to do it. So, and you can't hate on the person, the artist, for, taking an opportunity and making some money and getting her name out there. I mean, I'm sure this whole controversy has actually really helped her career a lot. Me personally, like, when it comes to comic book art, I'm not really like, I mean, I could read a comic with this kind of art, but I'm a little bit put off by the fact that they needed to insist that this be a representation of Wonder Woman. Now, what they're saying is that, like, you know, they like the idea of taking iconic women and, like, showing that they can be strong and powerful in a body positive sort of way. And that's like a very, like, left leaning, woke sort of stand, points, that progressive idealism, basically. And that's what's happening here, honestly. And what do I think about that? Well, honestly, I think that's, unfair to the, like, the core comic book fans who buy Wonder Woman comics and, like, really, are into the character. The character was meant to be a specific way. She's an Amazonian warrior, for crying out loud. I mean, she's tall, beautiful, strong. She's a protector. She's buxom. She's got blue eyes. She's like statuesque. She's supposed to be an idea of perfection in a way. That's what superheroes are. I mean, you don't see a lot of dudes walking around looking like Henry Cavill in his prime, you know what I mean? But he is Superman for a reason, because he looks the way he does. There's a reason why dudes, when they, get a role to play a superhero, they go to the gym and they get a trainer and they pump themselves up to look fucking awesome on screen. I mean, everybody does that, male or female. So this is a very deliberate statement by some editor at DC Comics, that hey, look at my progressive values. Look at this. This is more like a hipster. You know what I mean? And, like, that's fine. Like, let's look at Robin's art. Well, let's talk about who she is first. So Robin Eisenberg grew up in Eagle Rock in Glendale, California. So she comes from California, shocker. Her parents divorced when she was 2 years old, though she describes her childhood as full of creative and personal validation, in spite of her difficulties. This is, like, personal stuff. She's basically saying she wanted to be a jazz musician and she turned to art because her mom was an artist. But she's an American illustrator, designer based in Los Angeles. Her most notable works include collaborations with Thrasher and Vans, or like skater wear. which popularized her graphic Technicolor style. She has since launched a shop where she sells pins, patches, prints, and artwork. And she's doing the hustle. I mean, good for her. She works hard. She developed her own style, which is something I read in a interview with her. The biggest hurdle for her was like kind of developing her own look and style. I don't think it's as an artist myself and as an aspiring comic book artist myself, I understand, and I think she does too, judging by her reaction to all this, that artwork when it gets put out in the world is going to be criticized. That's just how it is. I mean, even really popular artists, look at Rob Liefeld. He gets crushed with criticism constantly for his styles and techniques and cheats that he does in his artwork. But it's the thing. My opinion about art, though, is she's a comic artist. She developed her own style and her own way of doing things and her own subject matter. That's great. I mean, look, more power to her. She wants to talk about her sexuality and her feminism and all that stuff, and like connect with those people in the world. That's, I think, completely valid. She should do that. I think, looking at her artwork, like, her artwork's pretty groovy. I actually kind of think it's cool. Like, I can see how it translates to some of the mainstream stuff that she's been producing work for, like pins and stickers and pin-ups and stuff like that. And it's very female centric. It's very trippy. I mean, she's sort of bending reality a little bit here. It's obviously got an LGBTQ angle to it, and that's her life. That's what she lives, and that's what she wants to make art about. And it's obviously like progressive and woke and all that. I think it's kind of cool artwork, you know what I mean? Like, but my problem is that, like, the progressive staff over at these comic book studios, mainstream comic book studios, want to take beloved iconic characters and infuse it with their progressive values. And there's a lot of people out there who buy the product who don't want to be spoon-fed somebody else's politics. They don't want to be spoon-fed LGBTQ and feminism when they're trying to read, Wonder Woman comics. I mean, guys love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman because she's beautiful and she like embodies like, that sort of ideal like female form and beauty and strength and power and all that that the character was intended to have. So look, I mean, I think it's unfair to hate the artist. I mean, she took an opportunity. Nobody would turn down a cover at DC. It's one variant cover, but the problem is that we saw that DC has taken a huge hit. They've just laid off, I think, like a third of their staff from the editorial staff all the way down, and people are losing work. They're canceling a bunch of titles. It's an upheaval over there, and I think it's because of AT&T and the powers that be that own that company see that it's hemorrhaging money, and they're out there making content with covers that don't really sell, to be honest with you, to the mainstream comic book reader. They're tired of this. They're really tired of being preached to. They don't. I understand that. I'm all for if, like, the LGBTQ and feminist creators want to make characters that are all their own and put them out in the world and have their fans buy that. Great, do it. Write your stories, be yourself, be creative. But I think coming in and sort of hijacking these like really popular characters that have been around for generations to push progressive values is not really a good thing. It's not good for business. We can at least say that. We can agree on that. But, they're really kind of using these characters as a platform. And, that's not really cool. So this is like what traditional Wonder Woman comic book art looks like. This is a beautiful David Finch cover here. Now, David Finch is like, he's a Christian, He's a great guy. He reviewed my portfolio. Very kind person. Very talented. He does a lot of free, how-to videos on YouTube about how to draw, and they're just fantastic. But he's a hardcore Christian. You don't see him pushing his Christianity on people here. You know what I mean? It's just he's showing the iconic character the way it was intended by the person, by the people, the talent that created the character and fleshed her out and made her who she is. He's respecting that character. He's showing it as the way how it's intended. Here's another great version of Wonder Woman. Let's see. You know, this just shows you like look at this. You know, it just shows you that she's, you know, is this idealized? Of course it is. But all superheroes, that's what superheroes are supposed to be. They're idealistic. You know, young people, young adults, you know, don't have a lot of power, and they like to have these sort of power fantasies, see good vanquish evil, and they kind of get wrapped up in the whole idea of good and strong, like, you know, being healthy, being strong, being powerful. These are all good things for people want to achieve in their life. So, you know, people like this, and this is to me what Wonder Woman is supposed to represent, is you know, all these things. And so, getting back to my original point, is just the problem people are having about it and why they're rejecting it is because they feel like they're being lectured, and they feel like they're resentful because they feel like these people are pushing their ideas on them and they don't want it. You know, if people are going to spend $4, $5 on a comic book, they want, you know, artwork that is classic, kick-ass comic book art. You know, it takes time to achieve that skill level, but you know, they're not feeling it. Sorry, I'm looking for a specific image here. Okay, so I just wanted to read this real quick because I wanted to read this in her own words to fairly represent what the artist feels about the whole situation with the controversy in the cover. This is the original artwork that they appropriated for the cover, and I think it's only fair that, you know, she gets a say in this too. And honestly, this statement is really cool. She seems like a really cool person, you know. I mean, like, the way she's handled this whole thing, which has been pretty much silent. She just put this one statement up on Twitter, and I'll read it to you now. It says, "So, due to the subject matter of my art, I'm often asked to draw characters inspired by iconic women. Recently, I was asked to create a piece inspired by Wonder Woman in my own style for an upcoming one-off artist collaboration. I love drawing aliens with realistic body types, living their lives comfortable with themselves. So I drew an alien character with a realistic body wearing a more everyday version of the Wonder Woman outfit. DC decided they wanted to use this piece for a variant cover in addition to the collaboration. I didn't realize that featuring a Wonder Woman inspired character with realistic body type would be so controversial. Apparently it is." And she's got a little smiley, laughing, and some hearts there. So she's, you know, she's taking this real well. This isn't angry. I'm really glad it's not, because it just shows that she, you know, understands that criticism and controversy is part of being an artist, and, you know, she seems comfortable with accepting it for what it is, and she's not calling out specific people, and she's not being authoritarian here. She's just stating her experience with the whole thing. She goes on to say, "The DC Nation posted their cover on Twitter, and it was immediately met with hundreds of comments hating on her body, as well as the non-traditional art style, and on me personally." So, you know, I understand comic book fans criticizing it because it's so non-traditional, and it almost seems like an insult to the character, like, at face value. I think if you look at it a really shallow way, you can understand why people would be really put off by it, really turned off by it. And it's okay, I think, for the comic book fans who spend their money on this stuff to criticize it, honestly. I don't think doing it in a mean way isn't cool, but I think criticizing her and hating on her and saying mean things about her is not fair. She deserves to make whatever artwork she wants. She was invited to do the cover, to have the artwork used, and why would she take it? I mean, it's a cover for DC, for crying out loud. It's a great thing to put on your resume, or at least it was, I guess. I guess it still is. But, you know, look, I watched a lot of YouTube videos regarding this controversy, and there was a lot of mean shit said. Some of it was fair. Some of it was pretty entertaining. But for the most part, there was some mean shit said. You know, it just comes at it from a very sort of shallow point of view, you know. And I think sometimes it's good to put these things into context a little bit and see it from different perspectives. But and she literally says that. I think one of the reasons I was asked to do this is that I'm not a traditional comic book artist. So she says she's not a David Finch or whatever. And so I would represent something from a different perspective, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it got the conversation going. I just think that at the end of the day, comic book fans kind of take this as an insult because they're so used to they're seeing all these progressive ideas being forced on them, and it's just, they see this almost as like a fuck you to them, to the buyer of the comic, you know, which I don't think maybe necessarily they intended. I don't know. I mean, sometimes progressives get pretty authoritarian with the way they handle things, and look, I mean, they've done what they've made decisions within the company that have cost the company a lot of money, and now that they've a lot of people have lost their jobs over there, and things are in upheaval over there, and things are going to be changing. So is it, you know, are you sending a message, you know, that you think is a positive one? Okay, check mark on that. But are you hurting the business? Are you hurting the fans? It looks like it, honestly. And then she says, the fact that this was so controversial just makes me want to continue to draw diverse body types, create more art, and that people can hopefully see themselves in. Strength and beauty can come in lots of awesome forms. I don't think one form negates the others. These are my thoughts. And look, she's very positive here. She wasn't snarky. She wasn't defensive. She just said, look, this is what I do. They want to use it. I have a message in my art, which is, you know, being comfortable with yourself for who you are, and, you know, just accepting who you are and being happy in life. And I don't think that's necessarily bad. Like, I'm not against that message. And I think her art is cool for what it is. Does it fit real well with, you know, who Wonder Woman is as a character, that as she was intended to be? No. It's clearly a push of progressive ideology on the comic book buyer, which is what I personally take objection to. Give the people buying the comics what they want. You know, so time will tell. This will all play out. You know, this is going to be something that look back with positivity in a decade or two, or it's going to be looked at as a dark time in comics. And, you know, there seems to be a huge divide. But I think the business facts of it is that the stuff doesn't really sell very well. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I just want to give my opinion and share it with you. And what do you guys think about this whole thing? Let me know in the comments below. Let's have a conversation. You know, try to be nice and be respectful. And yeah, guys, as always, stay awesome, stay R-rated. Cheers.
Hey, what's up everyone? Josh here. Just want to say thanks so much for listening to the show. We really do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the content, please hit the like button and go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. We'd love to have you on board. Lots of great content coming in 2020. And we just really enjoy the community over here and enjoying pop culture together. So if you get a chance, hit subscribe. Really appreciate it. And until next time, guys, stay awesome, stay R-rated. Cheers.